Hello and welcome to the Malika Writes channel. My name is Malika Writes and today we will be talking about why Harry Potter and the Cursed Child makes absolutely no sense. I have 4 points that I want to get through and we'll just, bundle through them. For those who are fans of the Harry Potter series, the Cursed Child is probably going to be a very sore subject for you. But for those who have absolutely no idea what Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is, if you've been living under a rock, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child follows Harry Potter's children after, the whole Voldemort after the whole Voldemort thing has passed, and now they're sort of trying to get on with life. And as you can probably tell, there's very little kind of a story to pull from after the main conflict has, been dealt with. Voldemort is dead. There are no major characters who could fill his place, so what do you do next? And J.K. Rowling's answer is to introduce time travel. That brings us to the first point that I wanted to talk about. Time travel is extremely difficult to write about. It's something that either has no consequence and anyone can do it, and then you make a very funny and sort of interesting story about that, or it's something that's very dangerous and has a lot of consequences. And of the two premises, the second one is the one that J.K. Rowling went with in the sort of series, in the Harry Potter series. When Timeturners, the device that lets you time travel, were introduced in The Prison of Azkaban, which is the third book, they were said to be really dangerous things, that time was something you didn't meddle with, there were a lot of consequences, it was a dangerous task, it ups the tension in the third book, and it was something that wasn't really talked about in other books, and it was something that kind of she stayed clear of, and I think that was very wise. Now, in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, time turners make a comeback, but now they can allow you to travel for years into the past. And obviously, based on the premise that she went with, which is that time travel has very serious consequences, you would expect there to be serious consequences for traveling back that far. But no, Albus Severus, who is Harry Potter's child, and Scorpius, who is Draco Malfoy's child, travel back in time with no problem. And they make a whole mess, which is the whole premise of the story. Now, there's something really wrong about sort of devaluing or throwing into chaos all the information that we've learnt from the established series. And that's what happens in The Cursed Child with this whole time travel element. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't really make sense, because it stands so far apart from the rest of the series. The second reason why Harry Potter and the Cursed Child makes absolutely no sense is the characterization of Ron Weasley. Now, when we are introduced to Ron in the Cursed Child, we're almost back to an 11-year-old Ron in an old man's body. Ron is just as temperamental as he's always been. He's just as argumentative as he's always been. He's ready to fight at the drop of a hat. And that really does a lot of damage to the sort of work that J.K. Rowling did on Ron in the series. Ron goes from being someone who is very, seeking to prove himself all the time, to someone who's very confident, someone who's kind, compassionate, really sticks up for those who are in trouble, even if these people have wronged him in the past. And that's sort of thrown out the window in The Cursed Child. And what happens is that we're sort of left with a character that we know, but that we have to kind of get to like again. And that's something I had a real problem with. The third problem that The Cursed Child has, another characterization problem. Voldemort, the villain who wanted to be immortal, the villain who was very near immortal, had a child. It doesn't really make sense. Voldemort's whole story, Voldemort's whole goal was to be immortal. He did not need a child in order to carry on his reign, because he was going to carry on his reign himself. It disrupts Voldemort's storyline, it throws everything from the previous books to the wind, basically. So that was one of the reasons I disliked Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, because it really didn't do justice to the whole character of Voldemort. For him to have a child there was no real reason for him to have a child, other than there needed to be some sort of conflict in the Cursed Child. It's Draco Malfoy. So I don't have a problem with him having an arc. I think the Cursed Child was probably the best place to give Draco Malfoy an arc, if you were going to give him one in the first place. He's married, he's older, he has a child, and his child is friends with Harry Potter's child. This was the perfect scenario to give him an arc. The only thing I have a problem with is that while they gave Draco Malfoy an arc, they made Ron regress. And that has such a fan fiction, wanted Draco to be the shining hero sort of theme. And it felt like a fanfic. It didn't feel like reading Harry Potter, and that was disappointing. If you're going, I think I bought the book when it was £10. Did I buy the book when it was £10? I definitely bought it when it was expensive. I know that. And I'm not going to pay that much money for fanfiction. I can read it online for free. And I'm being perfectly serious here. I have read better fanfiction than The Cursed Child. So it was a disappointment in that aspect. If they were going to give Draco a character arc, I really wanted them to be consistent with the rest of the characters, which brings us to the fourth and final point. Also a characterization point, Harry Potter's parenting. Oh god. There's something really sad about having a character that it reintroduced to you, but their character has been completely warped and changed. There's something really annoying about that, and that's what reading Harry Potter and the Cursed Child felt like. Harry Potter, the boy who married into his best friend's family, who desperately wanted a family, who was in love with the Weasleys and their parenting methods and everything like that, and really formed a close bond with his best friends and was there for people. He's the whole savior, is a terrible father. I know people can have that duality, but the way it's handled is very bad in The Cursed Child. Writing in a play format is hard enough, but Harry Potter and the Cursed Child wasn't even really a pleasure to read. I mean, I've read plays. One of my favourites is A Streetcar Named Desire. That was a pleasure to read, even though it was a play. This was just difficult to read. Not because of the format, but because it wasn't well handled. And the characterization, or lack of it, was apparent. So those are the 4 points that I have about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and why it was it was a train wreck. Why Harry Potter and the Cursed Child was a train wreck. And if you have any more points to add, I would love to hear them in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching this video. I just want to take a moment to apologize for my long absence from YouTube. I have been working very hard in trying to balance my work with my creative work, but I promise I will be more active on YouTube now. I think I've stabilized myself to a point where I can consistently post, so I hope you will stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you have a lovely day. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it with anyone who is a Harry Potter fan, or someone who's thinking about reading. Actually, don't do that. No, yes, do that. Show them this so that they don't have to go through, they know what to expect. They're not expecting the world, they're just expecting to read something that's supposed to bring a little bit of nostalgia. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a nice day.